hey friends, we're gonna try this again. All right, so I wanted to take a moment and kind of dive into some vision as we onboard a lot of new people and as we talk some strategy over the course of the next few months. We've got a lot to encompass, and I want to make sure that our team, between 2 different campuses, 3 different service types, from all ages, all different kinds of backgrounds and positions, are thinking along the same vein, the same line here. So it's really important that we talk through some cultural things and some things that I want to make sure are embedded into the very nature of how we operate. And so I'm going to go ahead and dive into a couple details, and we're going to talk through some logistical things, some housekeeping stuff. Like now there's 4 different platforms that we use for various communications between Planning Center, Slack, YouTube, and Marco Polo, and they all serve a different function, and so I want to make sure that I kind of break that down for you and you know exactly what you're looking at. The other thing I want to do is talk through kind of the strategy in terms of how we're going to onboard new people and train them. I can't train everybody at once, and so I'm going to need some of you guys who've been serving for a long time, who may still not know a lot, to actually begin teaching what you do know. And that's going to be a challenge no matter how we approach it. So let me dive into this real quick. So this is going to break down into 4 steps. The first one is going to be you do, I watch. The second one is you do, I help. And the third one, I do and you help. And then the fourth one, I do and you watch. Now, this isn't a one-for-one strategy. It's not like we're going to say every position that we have can be that someone can train and be ready to fly on their own in 4 weeks. This isn't a week-by-week breakdown necessarily. This is, however, a heartbeat. This is a way of thinking that I want us to adapt. And so if you've been doing this for a while and you're comfortable with teaching, great. If you're not comfortable with teaching, good news is you're going to get to grow, because this is just part of being not only at this church. This is, equipping saints for works of service is a part of our blood. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of being a Christian, to be honest. I mean, there's no way around God's calling for us to help other people be equipped for works of service. If you are serving in some capacity, or if you profess Jesus to be the Lord of your life, if you call this church home, then you are a trainer. For everything that you learn, you have an opportunity to pass that on. And so, as we've just onboarded, I think somewhere around 7 new people in the last few weeks alone, we're going to have a lot of people begin to shadow other people. Now, the word shadow does not necessarily mean that you are an understudy. It might mean that you are standing over somebody's shoulder, or it might mean that somebody is watching you do what you know how to do. So it could be a new person, it could be the experienced person. It doesn't necessarily matter. The word shadow just means you are at that point coaching or training somebody. And I'll try to make sure I specify too in the Planning Center invites, if you look at your emails, the position that you accept should note that you're either some kind of a coach or a trainer, so that you know exactly what your expectations are. So you do, I watch. I mean, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. You do what you know to do, and the person that you have just met, who's just signed up to train, is going to watch what you do and be able to ask questions. That means you need to be able to answer them and do your job at the same time, and then kind of walk with them through, turning on projectors, or how to power on or power down a sound system, or whatever. You do, I help. I mean, the next time that you see them, and as they start kind of putting their hands on the system, my hope is that they start actually lifting things from your plate. They may not necessarily get it right the first time around, where there's plenty of margin for growth and for error. That's just kind of the way that this place operates. And this is one of the things I love about this church, is that we would rather have you serving and have to go through a couple bumps and bruises than to stay on the sidelines because we have too high of a tier of expectation that we just can't welcome people who don't know what they're doing. You are welcome, and we are going to teach you, and we're going to work through some of the kinks, and that's the beauty of it. So we don't want you to wait until you know everything for you to actually be doing. We want you to find a way to help as you get involved. That might mean that you're changing batteries in a microphone. That might mean that you are sitting there on a comm relaying information to the person that you're serving with. That's just kind of the thing that this is how we transition people from observing and getting into a comfortable state where they feel like they can show up and deliver something. The third step, I do, you help. This is where you experienced folks, the folks who've been serving, whether at Calvary or at Hinge Point, now Resurrection, for years. You've been holding down the fort. Can I just stop and say a massive thank you to you? If I haven't said it enough, I want to make sure I really clearly enunciate that you guys, there's a few names that come to mind. Mark Dawson, man, you have been serving this church so faithfully for so many years. George Love, man, you've held down the fort for me at the River Campus in so many ways for so long. Obviously, Josh Reese, you've been working here and pouring yourself into this place for years. I could go on and on. I'm sure there's plenty of people that I could highlight and point out and single out and say, man, you guys have really held it together as we've been through this merger process. But now we're approaching a season where you cannot continue to bear all of the weight on your shoulders anymore. Not only for your health, but for the health of the people joining. There has to be some margin, some release to allow them to take some ownership. That's part of us transferring from crisis mode to a healthy department, a healthy production team. So I want to challenge every single person who is used to holding down the fort, saving the day, and just working their butts off for this place. We have to make sure that you begin allowing and strategically giving people the space to help. And so I do and you help allows you to take the back seat for a minute. Let somebody who is training and learning all of this new material get in there and make some mistakes. And allow yourself to step back enough and allow it to happen so that they can learn. I'll tell you the quickest way to learn something is when you mess it up. I firmly believe that. I have cut too many cables and broken too many things to think anything else. When it's in service and you're in real time in front of people and you're performing essentially, there is no better place to learn something for the rest of your life than when it's the real deal. Rehearsals may not necessarily teach you the same thing. Video training may not necessarily work for everybody. Sometimes the hands-on experience and things not going the way you want is exactly what somebody might need in order to grow and move forward. And that's risky. There's a little bit of risk involved here, my friends. That's just kind of the nature of growth. We're going through the growing pains together. And then finally, I do and you watch. This is where somebody begins to spread their wings and take on full ownership from start to finish of a Sunday morning to Sunday afternoon, closing everything up, and you are watching. And you can watch from the sidelines. You can watch from in service. You can be available via text or Marco Polo or one of the other many platforms that we use. And these people can reach out to you if they need something, but this is where you really have to allow them to sink or swim, and you get to take a breath. So welcome to new people. I want you to know that we are excited you're here. We're excited for you to watch, to help, and then to do. And for you experienced folks, I am really excited to give you the rest that I think so many of you have faithfully earned. And as we do that, my hope is that this is not just a strategy, but that you're actually developing relationships and investing in conversations, sharing your testimonies with each other. I hope our Slack thread can actually be a place where we as a team can pass prayer requests back and forth and updates and things like that. My goal is, just like everything else in this church, we want this to feel like the family that the cross of Jesus Christ has made us. And so that's my prayer for you. This is kind of part one of our vision deal. I'm going to come back and kind of walk you through some other pieces here real quick. All right. So part two of our little vision address here that I want to make sure you are aware of is what I'm calling the wall. I'll see if I can post these as well to our Slack thread so that you guys have them. But the main thing I want you to look at, so we have campus schedules here, and we have the River Campus and the Nile Campus schedule, how they coordinate, so you guys can see in contrast into what the other campus is doing. And then we have our departmental mission statement here. Now, the vision statement of the church is to make the name of Jesus famous through this, in the city, through the state, and to the ends of the earth. And so part of that, in the kind of departmental infrastructure that we have is the Res Creative Department exists. Now, the Res Creative Department consists of production, worship, and our marketing, led by Nate Parrish. Worship headed up by Rachel Parrish, and production headed up by yours truly. Now, Res Creative, this department specifically exists, go on, do your thing, to make the name of Jesus famous through awakening hearts and minds to the reality of Jesus Christ through challenging visuals, passionate worship, and innovative production. And down below we've got the 4 main people that you may need to contact for any given reason. Now, there's a couple other people that obviously most of you will know, and you'll probably have their numbers as we kind of get into deeper into thread here. But the main thing I wanted you to know is that this wall should tell you everything that you need to know in terms of the fine print of this department, of the expectations, and everything else in between. Let me go ahead and break it down to the team positions chart here. Now, this should break down the 7 positions, the main operating positions that we have, and the things like the planning center counter position, the PCO Live, that's not necessarily on here because it can be managed by any one of these people as kind of a side thing, or it can be managed by a new person or that kind of deal. So take these 7 as kind of our primary serving positions. We have the service producer, which is also known as the coordinator, and this is the guy doing the running of run through. He's calling the shots. I mean, there's been times, guys, when Pastor Russ himself looks me in the eye and says, "You're making the call," on some tough things. Like I sent Pastor Russ up to preach in an emergency situation where our stream failed, and so as the service producer, I had the jurisdiction to say yes to my employer and my pastor, "Yes, I need you to preach." That's the kind of power that the service producer has to hold. Everything from evaling how a need to know went, if the host is comfortable on stage or not, and kind of giving the critical, hey, maybe you should try softening up a little bit, or all of those things, and then obviously making sure that your teams, your positions are knowledgeable, that they know what they're doing, that you're able to troubleshoot any one of these areas. This is the guy, this is the captain's hat. And then down here we've got some other breakdowns of audio 1, audio 2, and the difference between the two. We have media operator, video switcher, camera operator, and lighting operator. Now, you want to take a look at these and get familiar with them, because this really lines out how the team is supposed to kind of function together on a Sunday morning. And to say that we have to be absolutely sticklers about every single detail is kind of contrary to the idea of a team being made up of human beings. If this were a machine led by robots, then yes, the fine print would be the final law. But we do understand that we're working with people, and as such, there's a dynamic to every team, there's a dynamic to every person, and so we do what we can to bring clarity and structure to these positions, but a lot of that's going to come down to you guys just taking the ownership that you need to take, and leading where you need to lead, and serving where you need to serve, and saying no where you need to say no. All of that kind of plays into this, but as much as we can adhere to the structure laid out on the wall, the better. Now, there's one here in the upstairs booth at River, and there's one in the downstairs booth right behind me in the audio booth, and then there's one at the Nile in the back, because there's only one real tech booth area in the back of the Nile there. So with that said, I will get those posted to Slack. Make sure you know these and are familiar with these. These are your code of conduct, if you will. This is going to answer a lot of questions if we are all on the same page with that regard. Now, I'll move on to part 3 here and talk through some of the apps that we need you to use and be familiar with, and what you need to know on all of them. All right, hello everyone. Let's go ahead and dive into the apps that I need you to be in the know on, so you can be connected and up to date and resourceful and all of that stuff within the production department. The first one is going to be this app called Services. So we're going to go ahead and open that. That's otherwise known as Planning Center online, but the Services portion of Planning Center is where we coordinate all of our service structure. So when you're brought to the home page here, the welcome email that you originally received when your Planning Center account was created should have prompted you to set a password. When you set that password, you'll use your email and your new password to log in. For me, I've got Touch ID rendered and I use my phone number, which is another option. And the first thing you'll see is My Schedule. Now here's the My Schedule, and then there's the Plans tab. You guys may not be able to see the Plans tab based on your permissions, so everyone should be able to see the My Schedule tab. And you will see any service that you have been invited to, whether you've declined, accepted, or are unconfirmed. And so as you can see, these are the ones I have currently accepted. And then you can click on those services and get to know the order of service, the teams, who you're serving with, the times, if there's updates in rehearsals or additional times for Sunday morning, things that you may need to know. Everything that you need can be found in your My Schedule tab and coordinating with your specific service. I'm not going to dive into that too deep. I'm going to let you kind of explore that on your own, and I'll do another Planning Center in-depth tutorial another time. The other thing I'll make sure to note is that if you come over here to my profile, go ahead and update. You can set a picture of yourself. You can update your contact info. If you would make sure your profiles are as set as they can be, that would be really helpful. You can also manage blockout dates, and you can view your schedule in multiple ways. There's another option there. You can see your messages. You can set blockout dates and calendar link down here on the bottom. I would just go ahead and explore this and get to know it a little bit. And again, there's further videos online for understanding how this may work and best suit you. That is Planning Center, and that's probably the easiest way to manage your Planning Center structures. You can also do it via the web browser. I would discourage you from operating solely on your email invites. If you operate out of your inbox, invites can get lost, and sometimes the emails you may receive may not reflect every update that may happen to the service. So just keep yourselves tuned in there. The second app is Slack. Now, you should all have, at this point, a link to join the Resurrection Church workspace. This is the restalk.slack.com workspace. This is for all of the ministries within our church. And once you are in the workspace, you can join any channel that has a hashtag next to it. It's an open channel. The ResCrew_production channel is a closed channel. That's just for me to be able to know who's here, know who's not, and kind of keep a better gauge of our team as a whole. But you can also direct message people here. And so if you slide over, you can see the ResCrew production channel. And this is a great way for us to formally interact in some sort of a forum. Now, as far as Resurrection Church is concerned, this is the primary way we all communicate. Any Planning Center based stuff will be solely regarding services. And then the next app I will show you is more for kind of the casual one-on-one, little thoughts, questions, ideas, etc. But anything regarding prayer requests, any kind of team updates I need to send out, any cross-team communication that needs to happen can all take place right here. You can tag people, and you can notify them directly. You can tag the entire channel and notify everyone, but please refrain from doing that if at all possible, unless it's absolutely necessary. And then I've got other things going on, different conversations I'm keeping up with. So Slack is a really great way to just kind of keep yourself engaged in what's happening in the life of the department. Now you can also set a status. You can set to do not disturb. You can set times that you will not receive notifications, which can be helpful. I can share Google link files or video files here, and you should be able to see this as a guest or as a standard user if administrators may have ability to see a little bit more in-depth stuff here. But that's Slack. Again, I would get comfortable with it, use it regularly, and that will help us keep you in the know as much as possible. And so again, that ResCrew_production channel is the main channel that we want to make sure everybody is a part of. All right, so we're going to dive into the third app here. Disregard the voice memo intro here, but here we go. All right, so the third app we need you to have on your phone is called Marco Polo. Now, this is really more for casual interaction and for fun, back and forth banter, and there's a lot of goofy stuff that can happen here. But the main advantage is that there's more of a one-on-one video, messaging platform for us to be able to communicate between me as your direct report and you as a volunteer, as you are in training, as you are asking questions about Planning Center or Slack or whatever. This saves me from having to do a lot of text messaging throughout my week, and this is also a great way for us to be able to have a little bit of that face-to-face interaction. Yes, I know it is still a screen, which is not real face-to-face, but hey, it's easier to read expressions that way than have to decipher it from text or Slack threads. Some of the features you're looking at here are you can also change your notification settings and update your profile, just like it with any other messaging app. There's a camera shot of me, and this was from a recording where I was trying to record audio. It didn't really work out, but anyways, this is a great tool. It has helped me onboard a lot of people and get them well communicated with. They can kind of get a sense of my awkwardness or whatever, and this also allows me to kind of introduce myself to them virtually here. And because let's face it, the ability for us all to pull a massive training together or some kind of a dinner with everybody's schedules between two campuses and all such sorts of things, it's difficult. It can be a real challenge. And so this is Marco Polo. You can change your voice, you can type little fun text messages, and also you can share pictures and all that fun stuff as well. So anyways, that's number 3. And I want to take you to the fourth one. It's actually one you will know and love. You don't necessarily have to have the app, but you do need to be subscribed to the YouTube channel for the production department. Now that's going to be posted in the Slack thread. So if you go to the Slack channel and you click on the ResCrew_production title at the top, you can find the pinned items down below. You can scroll down and find the pinned items, and then the only thing that I've pinned in our Slack channel is the one message that has the link to the YouTube channel in it. And so you can find that and hit that big red subscribe button there, and you can look through the different playlists and video materials that I am currently working on developing and will continue to post, from Pro Presenter to Ableton to we're going to do some audio workshops in here as well. This is a great way for you to not only get to know the position that you're serving in, but also how to develop your craft in general, aside from just how to use the tools within Resurrection Church. And so make sure, again, that's going to come through Slack. You can find that in the pinned section of the Slack channel there. And let's see, I think that's pretty much it. So again, for all 4 apps, we've got the Services app, the Slack app. Both of those are by invite only. And as you get developed in those, or as you get onboarded onto those, you can make sure to ask questions if you need to. Marco Polo's number 3. And then having YouTube subscription would be number 4. There you go, guys. That's the 4 apps we need you to have for making sure you're integrated really well into the production department. Well, there you go, guys. This has been our quick vision update and kind of our first, what I'm going to call sort of a family meeting. And I'll bring these to you every now and again to just make sure that we are still in alignment. But I wanted to say just again a huge thank you for being a part of the Res crew and for being diligent and understanding all of the details, for asking questions, and for just making this a great team to be a part of. So thanks guys so much, and again, I'm always available to you. Please make sure you reach out if you have questions or concerns, and God bless you. We'll see you next time.